Hello, everybody, and welcome to That's Football, the latest transfer news chat that we're going to have. And we're going to start off with Romelu Lukaku and his big mouth. Whenever he goes on international duty, he gets loose lips, and he's had them again. So, in essence, scored a couple of goals against Scotland yesterday. A few United fans decided to go and live up his arse, saying he's better than Rashford, we need to keep him. Those people who've got any sense said, no, he's got to go. He's got no first touch. He's a bad striker. He needs to go. And lo and behold, his comments after the game were pretty much along the lines of, I'm off on holiday with my family now. I expect it to be a big summer. And then there's another one that's came out this morning, which is, I actually thought it must be fake, but actually it's in a few articles, Calcio Mercato, Premium Sports. And the quotes from Lukaku for that are that Antonio Conte is the best manager in the world. He knows what is going to happen, but he's got a contract with Manchester United and he's got to be respectful of that. So basically, he's dropped loads of hints that he's going to leave Manchester United. So happy days, absolutely ecstatic. Absolutely ecstatic. I think this is one of the key sales that United needed to do, which I wasn't 100% sure we were going to do. So I'm over the moon, and people can throw up how many goals he's got for Belgium. I don't really care, and they can show his stats for Manchester United and Everton. I don't need stats. I don't believe in stats when you're watching games of football and you're seeing with your real eyes how bad he is. He's got no first touch. He's got 1 goal in 17 games against the top 6. He's a flat track bully. I think some of the goals he's scored for Belgium recently, Scotland, Kazakhstan, Gibraltar, I mean, rubbish. Probably, and to be honest with you, if people like him that much, take him at your club. And if you're a United fan, then you really should have been watching Manchester United for the last couple of years with Lukaku, because he's got a terrible first touch and he's a flat track bully, and it's not going to change. So if we can get rid of him, absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I think it's great. Great news to get rid of him. As for his comments about Conte being the best manager in the world, look, I mean, how embarrassing is that? Antonio Conte is not even in the top 5 in the world. He did quite well at he managed Juventus, did quite well there. He won the title with Chelsea, fair play, but in his second season he was a joke. He's an okay manager, Conte. I would have cried my eyes out when United were linked to him. I didn't want him anywhere near Manchester United. So saying Conte is the best manager in the world, it just belies. I mean, as I said on Twitter, I wish somebody'd asked him who the best centre-back in the world is, because he probably would have said Phil Jones. So poor is his judgment. So I'm very happy that Lukaku's going. And let's not forget, Lukaku can talk like he's one of the best strikers in the world. He can talk about his options. He can talk about respect for Manchester United. He can talk about Conte being the best manager in the world. But the reality is, you're a reject, mate. You're a reject. Manchester United don't want you. Solskjaer doesn't want you. And that's why you are positioning yourselves and gobbing off like, oh, I'm a great striker, I'm going to go here, there and everywhere. You're going because United don't want you. If United wanted you, you would stay at Manchester United. It's as simple as that. Bly Wildling says, hi, Mark. Been watching for about a year now. Just saying thanks for all the hard work. Keep it up. Thank you very much. And Lucas says, to be fair, Lukaku's the only player who can play in Timberlands and jeans. Look, I'm just glad he's going. I'm glad he's going. And the way he's talking talking like it's when Ronaldo left United. And it's like, oh, he's such a good player, and I really don't want him to go. I'm so happy about this. I'm so happy that he's going. And he knows he's not first choice, Mini. This is the point. He's leaving because he's a bench player, and that's what it is. And he thinks he's better than that. So fair play to him. But do we need to replace him? I'm not convinced that Manchester United do need to replace him, to be honest. You've got Rashford, Martial and Greenwood. I think if we bring in players around those players that are good, we probably don't need to. No, I'm not playing FIFA today, Josh, to be honest with you. I'm not going to. Let's talk about Wan-Bissaka for a moment, and I do want to talk. Well, let's talk about Carrasco. Because this isn't the United stand. This is That's Football, and it's. I do like to talk about other things. It feels a lonely world at the moment being a Manchester United fan in this transfer window. You know, that nobody seems to be doing anything. I don't know. It just seems very, very quiet with everybody. However, Carrasco is going to go to Arsenal by the sounds of it, which I think is interesting because, a bit like Thomas Meunier, Arsenal, United, Carrasco's another player that United have been linked to. And he's interesting. I think he's 25 now, Belgian international. Didn't actually start for Belgium last night, did he? I think he was on the bench. He clearly knows that, moving to China was good for his wallet, but bad for his career. A player to go from Atletico Madrid in their early 20s to China is a really bad judgment call. I think. Money's great, isn't it? But you've got a football career, and maybe you should try and live that first. But he definitely wants to come back. I think he's going to be available for about £25 million, and Arsenal don't have a lot of money, so it suits Arsenal to go and do a signing like that. I mean, what I would say is it's a typical Arsenal signing, isn't it? That a player who's gone to China for money suddenly realise he's gone way too early. Going to play in China when you're 24, you've gone way too early to go and do that. It's going to start damaging in his international career because Belgium have got a lot of good players. So he's obviously realised he needs to come back, and he will come back. But he's in for a rude awakening, says Guy Heron, when he comes back. Well, yeah, the standard of football is going to be a lot better, and that's no criticism of Chinese football. Chinese football is nowhere near as good. So looking like Carrasco to Arsenal will happen. I think Arsenal fans being Arsenal fans will say he's a great signing. He's not a good signing. It's a bit of a risk signing, really. But I'm glad it's one that Manchester United are not going to do. Hopefully United are not going to do. With regards to Manchester City, I still think Cancelo looks like being the most likely signing for them. Liverpool, I think Pepe. They have been linked to a striker. I can't remember what his name is, from the French league, and maybe they do need some more options in depth. But Carrasco, Arsenal, I think looks likely. Spurs are interesting. Eriksen is backtracking now. Christian Eriksen was talking about going. Looks like he's backtracking a bit now. And hi, Mark from Jamaica, says Owain Dilworth, who's a Liverpool fan. Hi, pal. I think Nicolas Pepe for you. Spurs, I think Spurs will sign players. It's just difficult to say who. I'd say Ryan Sessegnon looks like a good signing for them, to be honest. Van der Beek, it'd be if Spurs get Van der Beek, I think he's a great signing. I'd like Manchester United to go for him, but yeah, it's going to be interesting what other people do. Bringing it back to United, because Wan-Bissaka is obviously it's a signing that's very difficult to say. I will be taking some of your questions in a moment. The interesting thing I would say about Wan-Bissaka that nobody's really spoken about, and I actually tweeted it off the United Stand about an hour ago, is that England under-21 championships are starting their first games on Tuesday. It's in Italy, and they're flying out to Italy on Friday. So Friday is 36 hours away, a day and a half. Manchester United, if they're going to sign Wan-Bissaka and unveil him, need to do it tomorrow, because or maybe Friday. Maybe they'll let him fly out a little bit later, but it's got to be done by the weekend if we're signing Wan-Bissaka. Now, of course, you can sign Wan-Bissaka and agree with Crystal Palace a deal, but we're not going to be able to unveil him until July the 1st, which can still be done. But I do think that if United are looking, United need to get deals done. That's what United need to do. They need to do more deals than anybody, so they need to start getting some deals done. And it's gone a little bit quiet, and maybe with, excuse me, I'm yawning a lot. I don't know why. I think it's because I've started talking and I've not been talking a lot today. I think with Bruno Fernandes, it's either going to happen very quickly or Sporting Lisbon are going to start a bidding war. I think with De Ligt, God knows, Barcelona apparently... I don't know whether this is true. It was an article on the Daily Mirror, but then I tried to click on it, and every time I was trying to read it, it kept closing down, so I don't know whether it's true. But Eric Abidal, who's the former player of Barcelona, he's the sporting director there. Apparently, he's put an Instagram post out of Johan Cruyff saying that, Barcelona don't wait around for signings, which basically some people are saying means that De Ligt's not going to Barcelona. De Ligt looks likely to go to PSG now, and I don't think that's the right move for De Ligt. I don't think that's the right move for De Ligt. I mean, all right, Manchester United are not in the Champions League, but come on, PSG. They're in the Champions League no matter what they do. Like, it's they're in there because they're in a pub league. Like, it's actually hard to qualify for the Champions League in the Premier League because it's a good, hard league. So going to PSG because they're in the Champions League, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's a good signing. Apparently, Mino Raiola is in Paris to get the De Ligt deal done, says Lewis Oliver. Well, he's flirted around and he's gone for money, hasn't he? I never thought De Ligt was coming to Manchester United. There is a funny side to Manchester United not signing De Ligt, and that is that every one of these clown, fake Twitter and Reddit users who are pretending to have information are going to look like liars, and they will retract and go, oh, wow, it just fell through at the last minute. Bollocks, you never had any information anyway. You're all virgins sat at home making stuff up. Maybe that's a little bit harsh, but I just get fed up of it. I get fed up of it. Zed Jamie says, I think Daniel James will be unveiled in 15 minutes. International window opened yesterday. In 15 minutes, Daniel James will be unveiled. I'm not doing a video on Daniel James. I mean, come on, he's signed. I can't be asked doing videos about, oh, look at him in a United kit and some quotes. It's boring, isn't it? He's signed. We need to move on to the next one. George O'Malley says, De Ligt could have been our next Rio Ferdinand. Look, I don't know. I like the look of De Ligt, but to be honest with you, I was watching him in both the Holland games against Portugal and England, and I was like, he's good, but he's not. I don't think he's Rio Ferdinand good. I don't think he's like Maldini good. I don't think he's Sergio Ramos good. I think he's good and he can be that good, but I do think he's got his limitations, which any 19-year-old's going to have. And I know that can come across as, oh, it's only because you're not signing him. I'd be very happy if United signed him because our centre-backs are bad. But as Snap said, is he going to improve at PSG? I don't care. He's not coming to Manchester United. If he wasn't coming to United, to be honest with you, that's what this channel's all about. The United Stand is about Manchester United, and this channel is about talking about general stuff. And if De Ligt's not coming to Manchester United, I think he should have gone to Barcelona. I do. I think he's made a big mistake. He should have gone to Barcelona. Going to PSG over Barcelona it's like Neymar leaving Barcelona for PSG. It's a sad state of affairs. I don't like Manchester City and PSG. I think what they're doing to football is wrong. And I think when players pick those clubs over big clubs, it's wrong. It's no challenge at all, says T. Lewis. But it's up to him. He can do whatever he wants. And, to be honest with you, I support Manchester United. Will I see much of De Ligt anymore? No. I don't take any notice of PSG. I take notice of PSG in the latter stages of the Champions League when they get knocked out. And I laugh about it. Like, Neymar's one of the world's best players. We don't really hear from him because he plays in a crap league. It's only when he plays for Brazil or in the latter stages of the Champions League that anyone takes any notice of Neymar. And actually, he's normally injured anyway because he's spending the time with his sister, isn't he? So, because he always does that. But United will find a centre-back. And De Ligt was maybe a little bit far-fetched, but United will sign a centre-back. They will do. Anyway, let's take some of your questions. We've spoken about Lukaku. Very encouraging about Lukaku. Very happy that he's talking about leaving. Want him to go. It's a shame, as he could have become the biggest name in football, says Daniel Benoit. He's still young enough to do it. He won't stay at PSG forever. It's about money, isn't it? And look, whatever anybody says, Mino Raiola is a bad man in football. He is. Like, all he's bothered about is money, 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 money. And to be honest with you, I don't dislike the guy. I think he's quite open about the fact that he, look at him. He's very greedy. And it's all about money. And Manchester United have experienced that more than anybody. I will be streaming for the fixtures announcement tomorrow on the United Stand. Yeah, it's 9:00, isn't it? There are rumours of Dejan Lovren going to Milan for £25 million. What's your opinion on that? Says Van Dijk De Ligt. I think it's a good deal for Liverpool if they can get 25 million for Lovren. Is he as bad as everyone makes out he is? Who's worse, Jones or Lovren? I mean, to be honest with you, I'd rather have Lovren than Phil Jones, but I don't think I'd rather have Chris Smalling than Lovren. So he's somewhere between that. But I don't really think Lovren's that good, and I think Liverpool will be better off without him. It's no more passion. It's all about the money, says the music channel. It is a little bit of a disappointment. It's not something that's going to keep me awake at night. But with regards to De Ligt, I think one of the exciting things about the United link for me is that I was really inspired by his shouting at the crowd when Ajax won the league, and how he was, such a leader on the pitch, seemed to have his head screwed on, cultured footballer, and had a lot of respect for what he'd done at such a young age. But then going to PSG, I think that's probably destroyed a lot of that vision, to be honest with you. What happened? We stopped going to the Eastern Bloc countries as we used to, Vidic, Kanchelskis, etc. Says True Salfadian. I'm over De Ligt, says somebody. I was one of the people who said I didn't think he would sign anyway. We can buy others, says Carmichael. Exactly. Jones is trash and always will be. He just isn't good, says Nigel Brown. Drop a like on the video, says Luca. Bruno Fernandes could end up at Spurs. They bid 62 million, and they've got Champions League football, says Sajjad Dev Chowdhury. I think De Ligt is. I think De Ligt's coming to Manchester United. No, not Manchester United. I think Bruno Fernandes is coming to Manchester United. I just wonder whether Sporting Lisbon are going to try and create a bit of a bidding war, because that will elongate the deal. But I think United would win any bidding deal. Do you think United will appoint a director of football before next season, says Vishnu? I don't think United have got any. I don't think Ed Woodward specifically has got any intention of having his control of transfers at Manchester United taken away from him. And you know what? I'm sure he's living the dream. I'm sure he's loving it. But I'm better equipped to be the person in charge of transfers than he is. And that is not arrogance. You are better equipped as well. He is a bank manager who I don't actually think supported Manchester United before we were bought by the Glazers. He's a bank manager who's been chief executive since David Gill left for 6 years. He's been in charge of probably the worst period of our history in comparison to how much we've spent, and he will not remove himself from that role. And I don't get it. Any decent club would say, go up and be in charge of brands, whatever, but you're not being in charge of transfers. He's got no pedigree. He's got no background. He's got no experience in being in charge of transfers. He's a bank manager. And I'm not saying that in a negative way, even though it is a negative way. He hasn't got any footballing background. So how is he in charge of what we do with transfers? Do I think it's important to sell defenders or Lukaku, says Andrew Keenan? I think Lukaku going is absolutely fantastic because it means he can't play for Manchester United. It's a bit like Fellaini. Anything more on Icardi, says Carmine Todino? I think with Icardi, it's a difficult situation because Inter Milan want to sell him. He's quite happy to stay at Inter. The only Serie A club I think he said he'd go to is Juventus, but I don't know whether Juventus want him. So he's going to have to find a European club. I don't believe Manchester United want him as part of any deal either. So Icardi's future is Icardi's future, but I don't think it's going to be at Manchester United as much as I would like it to be. League One is a farmers' league, says Purple Patrick Tie 25. It is. Who to replace Lukaku, says Delano. I think United might go and sign somebody like an Artovic as a different option striker, but I don't think we're going to go out and buy a big name at all. I don't think that Liverpool will be in for De Ligt, Bob Jones. No, I think the money's too much for Liverpool. I think if PSG are snatching him from Barcelona, then he's going to get a lot of money. £350,000 a week, £340,000 a week, apparently, says IKYMH for De Ligt. Well, Manchester United should not be involved in that either. If United are out of it because of the wages being that much, the United should be out of it as well. And at what point is UEFA going to look at PSG and say, you do not earn this money? You do not earn this money. So, it's not right. Kevin Varghese, did United make their improved bid to De Ligt? Any idea? I don't know, but if it's true about what PSG are offering him, then, nobody's going to be able to compete with that, are they? And what are PSG doing anyway? Like, why do they need? It's such a stupid signing. Let's talk about PSG for a moment. It's such a stupid signing for PSG because buying a centre-back and paying him massive money is not going to help them win the French league. They already will win the French league. They could play Phil Jones at centre-back and still win the French league. So it's not a decision to help them win the French league. It's got to be a decision to help them win the Champions League. Is De Ligt going to help PSG win the Champions League? We knocked PSG out of the Champions League. They didn't go out because of poor defending. They've got good defenders. They've got Marquinhos, they've got Thiago Silva. They've got very good defenders. De Ligt will not make PSG any better in the Champions League. He won't. They've got good defenders already. What PSG need is consistent competition. We see it with Bayern Munich as well. They dominate their home league and it's not very competitive. And then in the latter stages of the Champions League, they suddenly have to play teams who play in competitive leagues, whether that's Premier League or La Liga. They play in competitive leagues. And PSG can't up their levels to that. They've got the players, they can't up their levels to that. So I just think it's a greedy signing, but it's not actually going to help them win the title, win the Champions League. Next year's Champions League will be from the Premier League or La Liga. Definitely, it's not going to be them. Apparently, United have offered £280,000 a week, but PSG offer is insane, says Rishab. See, I think United have still offered too much for him, to be honest. Do you think we will end up in the top four next season, says Keenan? I think Chelsea will be out of the top four next season unless they get the transfer ban lifted, because they're losing Hazard, they're losing their manager, and they've only got Pulisic coming in. So I think Chelsea will struggle next season and United will improve. Whether United will improve, I think United will finish fourth next year, maybe third. I don't see them having any impact on the top two because they're so far ahead. Maybe they could finish above Spurs, but realistically, Arsenal and Chelsea should be battling it out for fifth. On paper, it's very early to say that, but Arsenal are going to still be Arsenal next year. They'll win some games, they'll lose some games. They haven't got the money to improve themselves. And Chelsea, I think, might struggle next year a little bit. I'd pay £100 million for Kante. Yes, Aidan Bailey. Yes, I would. Yes, I would, lad. Yes, I would. Any news on Lozano? Says Arturo. Napoli is what we're hearing. I'd love him to come to Manchester United. Luca, the reason Arsenal aren't able to spend much is because they don't actually have a lot of money. They've got crap ownership, to be honest with you. They moan about it all the time. And Joel Morris says, Mark, have you heard about Danny Rose being linked with Manchester United? What's your thoughts? I forget how old Danny Rose is, but I know a lot of people don't like Luke Shaw. I do like Luke Shaw, and I don't think that Danny Rose, although he's played quite well, I don't really see what he brings to Manchester United, if I'm honest with you. He's 28. It'd be a good backup for Luke Shaw. It'd be good competition for Luke Shaw, but how much would we have to pay for him? If you've got to pay over 30 million, it's just not worth it. That 30 million could be spent elsewhere. Is it for sure that De Ligt is going to PSG, says Michael Vella? No, I think the De Ligt thing will run and run. If Barcelona have respected themselves and pulled out because they're fed up of the circus, then fair play to them. But I think that De Ligt could run and run unless he's going to sign for PSG very soon. But we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, these shows fly by. They really do. Make sure you subscribe if you're new, bottom right-hand corner. We're on the road to 100k, apparently. So please do subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Daily content throughout the transfer window. FIFA in there as well. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. Really enjoying the shows. Thanks, everybody. And I think, we got through 23 minutes quite easy there. But when everybody else joins the transfer party, we'll have a lot more to talk about. Everyone else is really quiet at the moment. It's all United. A little bit of Arsenal, mainly United. Nobody else. We need everyone else to come to the party as well. Speak to you all soon. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, and get your comments in below.